Podcasting out of Alliance Wrestling Studios, pontificating on pro wrestling, the innovator of Talk NWA, he is J. Cal!
How about now? Can you guys hear me now? Do you hear me? Anybody, give me a thumbs up if you can hear your boy J Cal. Any sound at all? No sound, no sound. Gosh. Okay. Well, please be patient with me, guys. Are you guys hearing me at all? Finally, you're hearing sound. Slightly better, he says. I mean, I can shove the mic up in my mouth. Is that better? Can you guys hear me better now? Alright, jeez. Things went really, really awry, but we are here, guys. This is the pre-party for the National Wrestling Alliance. We do this every week on Tuesdays at 5:05 Eastern, 2:05 Pacific, and I don't know what the hell happened, guys, but it turns out I've been fighting gremlins all morning. So this is the pre-party, and this is a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com, your number one source for news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance. I'm your host, J. Cal, and good golly, Miss Molly. Y'all can hear me. I see your comments. Guys, I will try to get to all of your comments as soon as possible. This is kind of a weird little thing because nothing's working the way it was supposed to, so I'll do the best I can to answer your comments. We're trying to record on Anchor.fm while we're doing this. We've been on live streaming on Instagram, so if you guys have been watching this, I apologize in advance for how terrible it is, but we're going to get to the meat and potatoes of everything here real quick. I see Doty's in the chat room. Doty, wow, I haven't seen you in a while, buddy. Glad you're here. I see Lamb's with us. Kikuchi, DKM. It's like the old show. It's a lot of my old friends. First and foremost, last week I did a podcast. I did it live on Twitch, and I've also since put on our Anchor app, and I also put on YouTube. And it was about the rising tides. All of these content creators who are promoting the National Wrestling Alliance, we all have the same common message. We all have the same common thing, and that's to promote what we love. And I don't know about you guys, but I love the National Wrestling Alliance. I don't know what it is about the cachet of those three letters, the legacy, the history, the tradition. I'm not sure why I've made this such a big part of my life, but I love the NWA. And with that being said, there are like-minded content creators out there that I hope you guys support. I hope you guys check out. And a group on Facebook actually reached out to me today and suggested that based on that message that I shared last week, that I endorse their group on Facebook so that they can get some recognition. So if you're on Facebook, and I know a lot of you are, and a lot of you are already receiving requests to join Facebook groups, if I could suggest you add one more to that group, and that would be NWA Unfiltered. The NWA Unfiltered group, essentially, I mean, they're talking about the NWA, and they want to be affiliated with this podcast. So of course I love the community, guys. I mean, that's what we've been preaching for over 10 years here on the various podcasts that we've done with DKM, with Jaden, now with Kevin Frazier. But since day one, it's all been about creating a community for the fans of the National Wrestling Alliance, and I think we're getting closer to that point, more so now than ever before. And I highly recommend that not only you guys check out NWA Unfiltered on Facebook, but check out some of these podcasts that are going on right now, like This is the NWA, or the 10 Pounds of Podcast, or well, there's a bunch of them. I talked about it at length last week, and I can't remember all of them right off the top of my head, but Piper's Notes with Dr. Robert Stinson and his daughter Piper. I have a daughter named Piper. I just really feel like this continuity, this synergy is really what's going to help keep the fans excited about what's next for the NWA. And believe me, there is going to be something next for the NWA. What that is, I don't know. And we won't find out until probably about 6:05 p.m. Tonight. Or excuse me, maybe 7:05? Yeah, that's the math. 7:05 p.m. tonight to see what this the hubbub is all about. Our esteemed President William Patrick Corgan, the owner of the National Wrestling Alliance, I don't know if you guys know this, but he's been doing a lot of live streams lately on Instagram, kind of like what we're doing right now. And he's been talking about living life after this pandemic, and living life during the pandemic. And what's going to happen? Guys, I don't know. I don't know what's on the charts, what's on the card. That's probably the first time on Anchor that I've taken a drink of an energy drink. But I think it's something that's going to. I don't think it's going to be a game changer, guys. I don't think we're going to be talking about wrestling any differently than we are now. I think ultimately, my kids just walked in and let the dogs in, so if you hear some barking, I apologize in advance. Oh God, this is the day, of course. This is the day of all days. But the synergy and the teamwork working together with whatever comes to fruition after tonight, I think will be very interesting. Of course, I'm going to go ahead and just jump on some of your comments because I'm trying to focus and my brain's a little bit scattered right now. So you guys can finally hear me, which is great. Kikuchi asked me if I love the NWA so much, why don't I marry it? That's because polygamy isn't allowed in the state that I live in. And then the camera just went off. So we're doing really good, guys. We're doing great. Let's see. Are we still up? Yeah, okay. Because polygamy isn't allowed in my state, Kikuchi. Otherwise, I would have asked the NWA to be my bride a long time ago. Kikuchi also said Facebook is for old people. Well, of course Facebook is for old people. That's why you're on it, my friend. Will Martin said he's joining the group now. That's great, Will, and I appreciate that. Let him know that J. Cal from the Alliance guys from the pre-party sent you. Dodie says thanks for the recommendation. He's already joined. Awesome. That's great, guys. I really I think that's awesome because ultimately the more people who get involved, it's the greater sense of community. When these shows happen, I mean, I know Dodie, you're from Indonesia. I know Lamb lives in Germany. I know Mike, who normally joins us, is from the UK. We have listeners, viewers from Australia. We have listeners all over the United States. Guys, this is what it's all about. We love the NWA. We got to keep promoting it. There's a lot of negativity, not just in pro wrestling, but in the world. And if you love something, I think it's best to kind of push that, promote that, make it something special. So this is my little piece of the pie. This is my little contribution to the world of trying to create positive energy. And of course, the National Wrestling Alliance is amazing. I've been watching the NWA since I was a kid. Many of you have too. Some of you grew up with the NWA. I didn't grow up with the NWA. I grew up with the WWE. But nevertheless, I am a fan of the NWA. I'm a fan of the modern day NWA. And we've talked about that quite a bit. I see some of you guys are already dropping off, so I'm sorry that things this may be not as exciting as some of the past podcasts, but oh my gosh. Pick me up, please. Kikuchi says that young people and Jay, because I'm not young, like TikTok. TikTok's kind of fun. I don't. It's not for everyone, but it's a good way to promote stuff. Um, let's see. Okay, so that's all the comments so far. And what are you guys saying here on the live stream? Okay, so on earlier this week, actually yesterday, we did a podcast with Dave Marquez. Now it'll probably hit YouTube Thursday or Friday. We had a lot of, believe it or not, production issues with that. Maybe I am a little too ambitious, or maybe I'm just not intelligent enough to be efforting what I'm efforting. But we did a great podcast with Dave Marquez, almost 2 hours long. Having difficulty trying to get that onto YouTube, but if you do follow the Alliance blog on all social media, we actually posted just my version of the story on Instagram. So you have about little more than 24 hours to watch that. Actually, no, you have about 3 hours to watch that. So you better find it, or you never know, it might show up in other places. If you follow the Alliance blog, you might see that content up somewhere else. Len's here, and he's here for the pre-party, and we've got a great show ahead of us tonight, guys. The Super Power. Now, this is the show that I've been looking forward to for weeks and really months. This show was taped back in January. And January seems like a lifetime ago. January 26th in Atlanta, in the Georgia Public Broadcasting studios. And that show has been sitting there festering, fermenting, aging gracefully. I don't know how to say it, but I've been wanting to see this show for quite some time. Really on the back of just seeing Tim Storm versus Jax Dane, number, what is this, 4 or 5? These two have a long history together, and the NWA has only slightly explored that history. I mean, we're talking about, if you look back, Tim Storm and Jax Dane battling for the NWA North American title. They briefly unified the NWA North American title, national title, when Jax Dane won both belts. Tim Storm eventually regained the North American title when Jax was unable to compete. When Jax was world champion, he faced Tim Storm more than once. When he was North American champion, he faced Tim Storm more than once. These two have history intertwined. I'm sorry, guys. I do go back and forth because I am doing a live stream here on YouTube. We also do the live stream on Instagram. Chris says that the NWA needs Funko Pops, and I agree, because my shelf, I should say, not wall, is clearly underserved. You guys don't see it on YouTube, but Instagram sees it. And to answer Lamb, yes, the interview with Dave Marquez did. We recorded it live. We recorded it live on yesterday, actually. And while I recorded it, I did a live stream on Instagram. So again, if you guys are watching the Instagram feed, you would see that. But we also might have put it up somewhere else as well. And Doty says he's waiting for Jack's debut in NWA Power. And guys, I feel a little bit out of sorts because, when we used to do this show from our Buckets for Rent studio in beautiful Colton, California, we had pictures of all the world champions up against this wall right here. Well, not this wall, but usually behind me. And Jax Dane was always one of those pictures that would look directly at me, and I would know that his time was coming. His time in the NWA was certainly coming. And it was... I've got a dog barking at me now. This day, man, this day can't get any worse or better or what. Hang on just a second. This is just flipping awesome. Oh, God. Oh, guys, this is the worst. And I'm not even plugged in. Jesus. Oh, God. Oh, you guys, man. You guys, this day. Holy crap. Holy crap. We are currently going against the 10 pounds of podcast, which I think is delightful. If you guys are familiar with friend of the show, Adam Rotella, he does his podcast every morning, really, the NWA Coffee. And, well, I guess he wants to do a show against mine. That's okay. But let's get back to Superpower, because, again, I'm super excited to finally see this show that has literally been fermenting in the vault for the last 4 months. Scheduled to compete tonight in the main event will be strictly business, and that is Nick Aldis and Thomas Latimer taking on Villains Enterprise. Villains Enterprise comprising of Marty Scurll, your number one contender for the NWA 10 pounds of gold, and Brody King, SoCal native. Also, we're supposed to have a three-way match featuring Tasha Steeles taking on Ashley and Marty Bell. I don't know if that match is going to make it to air. It was originally taped. And this is, again, where I kind of see like maybe the NWA had opportunity to keep producing original content and not having to make that jump to start broadcasting the live events, their pay-per-view events right away. There were still additional matches that they could have used to stretch out some of this content to bring us to today. Of course, Tim Storm versus Jack Stane is the match I'm really, really looking forward to. Can't wait to see it. The Rock and Roll Express, Ricky Morton, Robert Gibson, AARP members, they will be taking on the challenge of the question mark and your third degree NWA World National Mongrovian National Champion, the shooter Aaron Stevens. He adds a new title to that belt every time he has an opportunity to belt. Also on that card, a match that we already saw, which was Camille taking on Maddie Max. And then I believe these matches were taped for the Squared Circle, or Circle Squared, excuse me. And I don't think they'll make the show tonight. We might see them later down the road, again on the Circle Squared episode. And that was, let me just, this just handed to me. Montana Black and TJ Boss taking on Donnie Ray and Patrick Scott, as well as Antonio Ace taking on Jacob Hamiernier. And we lost the camera again. This is wonderful. Just absolutely the best. So again, guys, I don't I don't entirely know why that the NWA didn't work this card out a little bit. I mean, with everything that's going on, they could have used Camille's debut along with some of the Circled Squared matches. They could have used the Rock and Roll Express as its own main event, again, with some of these other matches. I don't know. But the good news is we're getting this card tonight, and I'm very much looking forward to it. I hope you guys are too. Of course, there's going to be some big announcement from, again, William Patrick Corgan after the show. And I don't know exactly what is what's going to happen. I don't know the announcement, but I don't think it's anything earth-shattering. I don't believe the NWA has been sold. I don't think you guys need to worry about that. I don't think the NWA is going to announce a new date for the Crockett Cup, but I could be mistaken. But I do think it will kind of address what's going on right now and what will be happening down the road for the NWA. I wouldn't be surprised if they announce a temporary hiatus from airing live events on Tuesday, or not live events, but airing new content on Tuesdays at 6:05 on their YouTube channel. They might put an end to that. I'm not exactly sure, but one thing is for sure, when the NWA comes back, they're going to have a big challenge to recapture some of the momentum that is unfortunately affecting everyone right now with the COVID-19. It's going to be hard to get back on that horse, but the NWA just surpassed over 200,000 subscribers to its channel. So if anyone is capable of resurrecting the NWA a second or third or fourth or fifth time. I do believe the right guys are in charge. And now I'm going to jump to some of your comments, both here on Instagram and on YouTube. So first and foremost, there's no live stream without a dog barking. Dave Marquez and Dustin Starr know that feeling very well. Yeah, Lamb, I don't know, man. This is supposed to be my quiet time, but apparently not today. And it just seems like everything's going wrong, so that's all right. I mean, it's just, look, you got to smile, right? Will says, he hang in there, bro. I feel you. He's working from home with kids. It's no joke. Man, it's the kids, it's the wife, it's the dogs, it's the internet, it's the computer, it's my sanity. It's all going down, baby. Just kidding. I'm good. Would be interesting. Lamb says it would be interesting if this will be Tasha Steele's last NWA appearance, as she will debut on Impact this week, later today. With that being said, I was unaware of that. I was completely unaware that Tasha Steele's made her debut, or will be making her debut in Impact, and I would 100% believe that would be it for her. It didn't, Ken Anderson made his return to the Impact Zone. I think he did, or he was supposed to, and that pretty much ended his time in the NWA unceremoniously. Of course, when Willie Mack got signed to Impact, that ended his relationship with the NWA, and of course that left a lot of people feeling a little bit bitter about the situation. Dodie says, more of your guys' comments. Len says, I was wondering what that countdown was. Oh, yeah, it was supposed to be for this show, but apparently that didn't work out either. Will Martin says, maybe some empty arena shows. I don't think they're going to run empty arena shows. Just I didn't officially interview anybody from the NWA, and it was nothing that has been said to me was said on the record. But I think both Championship Wrestling from Hollywood and the National Wrestling Alliance are going to be very slow in the next steps, because they want to protect their talent, they want to protect their fans, and ultimately they don't have commitments like the WWE has. They don't have the commitments that AEW has. There's no commitment for the NWA to produce a lot of brand new content, because they don't have a TV deal that they have to make sure that they're producing all this content. The fact that they are producing content is more for us. It's for us, the fans. I'm sorry, I got distracted. The content that's coming in is for us. But right now, with no pay-per-view in sight, now that could change today. With no pay-per-view announced for now, these shows that have been leading up for weeks and weeks and weeks are really not leading up to much of anything. So until the pay-per-view is announced, they really don't have to start producing more content. Now they're going to try, because they want to appease their fan base, and of course, the more views they make on YouTube, the more money it generates for the promotion. But I don't know. This is just my speculation, but I don't think they'll be running empty arena events anytime soon. Now, unless they get a go-ahead that there's a clear and specific date where it's safe to run wrestling events in the state of Georgia, then things could change. So to your guys' point, maybe some empty arena shows, the Crockett Cup move to the GPB with limited audience. All this stuff is very possible, although just right now I don't think it's very likely. But I don't know everything. I've certainly been wrong before. DKM says he blames me. Hey man, I see these shoulders right here? I can carry a lot of weight. Willie says wrestling libraries from Houston, Texas, St. Louis, Missouri, and Hollywood, California could introduce new wrestling fans to retro matches for segments on each show. They absolutely could, but that's not really the MO of the NWA promotion. I've talked to David Marquez, and again, that interview will drop probably sometime this week on our YouTube channel right here, youtube.com/The Alliance blog. That's for you guys watching on the Instagram. The NWA hasn't asked for any material from Dave Marquez. I mean, just what they've already done together so far. And it's interesting because there's probably nobody out there besides David Marquez who's promoted wrestling events featuring the 10 pounds of gold more than Marquez since the Jim Crockett era, or I guess I should correct myself, since Impact. And Dave Marquez had that 10 pounds of gold all over the United States on a weekly television show. Um, yeah, I mean, matches against Sean Waltman, matches against let's see, I'm drawing a blank all of a sudden. Brent Albright, Blue Demon Jr., Colt Boom Boom Cabana, Joey Ryan, Scorpio Sky, Willie Mack, Eric Watts, Charlie Haas, Daniel Bryan, and really the list goes on and on and on. My microphone moved. Can you guys not hear me the same? This is just going awful. Chris says Tasha Steele signing is in time for Billy Ink Talents to deals. So let's see. I'm gonna go to Instagram, see some more of your comments. Chris says, yeah, she signed to Impact. The Ring of Honor and Impact own the channel, so they are on, so they don't have to push the TV tapings. And with Tasha Steele signing, is it time for Billy to ink talents to deals? Chris, first and foremost, some of the contracts in the NWA are guaranteed contracts. Some of the guys are signed. So you're not going to see Bram, or excuse me, you're not going to see, Thomas Latimer or Royce Isaacs, who we interviewed a few weeks back, or Eli Drake or James Storm. They're not going to show up on one of these rival wrestling promotions, but they haven't signed everybody, and I think that's probably for the best. Tasha still has an opportunity to continue her career and make a decent living, then by all means go where the money takes you. But some of the deals in the NWA are some of the people are being taken care of. Let's see. Lamb says, the same countdown on the camera we saw from the Zoom panel. The camera could go off. Yeah. Unfortunately, my camera is, I don't know, man. It's just been one of those days. I don't know what else to say. What time is it? Is it time to end the show yet? Oh, God. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. And if you're tuning in for the first time, good Lord, please don't judge this show on my entire body of work, because this has probably been one of the worst episodes we've ever done. But hey, I'm still smiling. I'm still having a good time. I hope you guys are too. Now I'm getting phone calls, and it's just a clusterfuck. Okay, so that brings us, and the camera went off again. DKM says Tasha Steele was used as an undercard. Let's not overstate her loss. Yeah, I mean, look, the women's division itself is not really the NWA's strongest suit. They still have Melina. They still have Allison Kay, and they still have Thunder Rosa, who by far is probably the most important part of the NWA's women division, because she is not only the world's champion, but she's dynamite. She's great. Willie Bowen says Santana Garrett, Barbie Hayden, and Mischief should be on the Power roster. Mischief is retired. Barbie Hayden is either fully retired or semi-retired, and Santana Garrett is working with NXT. I don't believe she was one of those who lost her job. Oh, and now Camille. Yeah, that's a good point. DK says now Camille. Of course, I hope it's a slow burn. I hope they don't push her to the moon. I would like to see her get an opportunity to have that slow build to the world's title, the women's championship. You know, that's what the plan is. It's got to be long term. But just like Allison Kay was kind of like the poster child for the women's division, Camille could easily supplant Thunder Rosa, just like Thunder Rosa supplanted Allison Kay. We just have to wait and see. And who knows? Maybe Melina gets a run with that title before it's all said and done. So this week, guys, I have been efforting to produce more and more content for you. In the last 7 days, we did a podcast with David Marquez, like I previously mentioned, where he talks about the NWA ownership changing hands between Bruce Tharpe back to Billy Corgan. We talked about the attempt from New Japan Pro Wrestling to buy the NWA. We talk about the NWA splitting from Impact and why that was so important. We also talked about a lot of the SoCal wrestling days when Dave Marquez first returned to SoCal, and we talked about World Legion Wrestling, Harley Race, Gordon Solie. And if you guys are into the history and legacy of the National Wrestling Alliance, I highly recommend this episode. I will try to get that out to you as soon as possible, probably Thursday at the earliest. Also, I'm trying to do a more weekly podcast, shorter spurts. JCal's View, you can see that. That'll be on YouTube and on our Anchor.fm channel. Also, we're doing more and more recap shows with DKM and myself, the Alliance guys, and Jaden, if he ever wants to come back. Jaden, if you're watching this, the invitation is more than out there. We do a Skype conference call. We record it. We put it up on YouTube. Hopefully you guys will check that out. I'm hoping to have that re-record on Wednesday. Hopefully that'll be out for Thursday or Friday. And then of course, guys, the pre-party every Tuesday at 5:05 p.m. on East Coast time, 2:05 Pacific. I'm efforting to do that as well. And down the road, Len and I will get back to producing another Zoom chat where we will invite you guys to participate. This one won't be a live Zoom chat. That didn't work out so well for us last time, especially when people came on with passwords and hijacked the show for a moment. But the next time we do it, it will be more secluded. We'll record it before time, so we have plenty of abilities to edit out any nonsense, any serious garbage that might pop up, and it'll be more of a community show. And I think that's going to do it, guys. This has been a challenging episode. I'll make sure to work on some of the snafus that have been holding us back. I'm definitely efforting to make this the best podcast I can, and hopefully you guys are patient with me, and we can continue to watch this thing grow. If you like the show, make sure you give it a thumbs up, like it, subscribe, share with your friends. Of course, you can find us at the Alliance Blog. That's on Facebook and Instagram, where we're at live now streaming. We're also on TikTok for the young crowd. We have a Tumblr account if those are still a thing. We're also on Twitter. That's where I do a lot of promoting these shows, and anytime we write something, it automatically gets posted to Twitter. We are also on YouTube, as you're watching right now, but you can also find us on twitch.tv, and there's a lot of new stuff that we're doing that's coming out directly there, so you might want to check that out. And I'm going to read some more of your comments before we end this, because I like interacting with you guys. I like what the voices that you bring to the table. Duke Togo 13 says, agree or disagree, Impact has the strongest women division. I mean, that's kind of hard to not argue that. I mean, the WWE has some very talented women. I don't know if they're all being used the best way. I am a huge Asuka fan. I think she does a great job. She's someone that I think that should be where the WWE puts their focus, effort, and energy. But there's a lot to be said for what Impact is doing with their women's division. And I think the NWA could pull... I think the NWA could be just as competitive as Impact if they just focus on some of the right talents and showcase those talents in the correct way. Len says, MySpace or High Five? No, and we don't have a Friendster either, but maybe we should. Kikuchi says he hopes he never hears Jaden's voice again. Jaden's voice is like that of an angel. How dare you, sir? How dare you? Kikuchi says bring back DK's cat. I don't know if that cat is still living with us. Kikuchi always correcting my poor Japanese pronunciation. Asuka. Excuse me. Asuka. It's one of those days, guys. I'm telling you, I can't do anything right. Kikuchi also asked, wasn't Snafu a former NWA World Champion? Yeah, he was bomicidal, womicidal, and jomicidal. I don't know, guys. I'm seriously, this has just been a cluster. New Japan Pro Wrestling should be affiliated with All Japan Pro Wrestling like it was in the 70s and the 80s. Yes, there absolutely was, and I do believe that there could be some positives to come from a relationship with All Japan Pro Wrestling, but I don't think we're there yet. Honestly, the NWA is doing its part in trying to bring value to that brand, and I do believe that the value now is higher than it's been in many, many years. I mean, it was just like 7 years ago, Rob Conway was defending that title in Japan, or maybe not 7, maybe it was 6 years ago. Excuse me. Wrestle Kingdom 3, I believe, he defended the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. So the Japanese, for whatever reason, have always put value in the National Wrestling Alliance, whether it be All Japan Pro Wrestling, New Japan Pro Wrestling, 01. There's always seemed to be some sort of value with that. I mean, even the death matches, they brought in Dan Severn to defend the World's Heavyweight Championship at a time where the NWA title was basically unknown. The J Crown, I mean, that was partially an NWA title that really, there wasn't a connected value to that. I mean, who was the biggest NWA champion leading up to that J Crown, the 8 octuplet title? I mean, there wasn't. It wasn't as a big deal. So there's a soft spot in the hearts of the Japanese fan base for the NWA, or at least that's what you would believe with as often as the title seems to be resurrected in Japan. But we'll just have to wait and see, guys. I don't think the NWA has that much to offer All Japan Pro Wrestling just yet, but you'd be surprised about how things could change. Lucifer was also an angel, said Kikuchi. Again, quit bad mouthing my guy Jaden. He's the solar powered love machine and always been a good friend of the show. Dodie says that he's with Willie, All Japan with the new NWA, and I would love to see that. We're getting some love from Kento Miyahara from All Japan. He'd love to see Miyahara versus Okada from New Japan, and that's a match that would be pretty crazy, incredible, but has very little to do with the National Wrestling Alliance. Well, we're running out of time, and I do appreciate you guys checking us out. Again, this was a train wreck episode. This is slightly better than last week, so I do appreciate you guys being here to check it out, and we'll continue to work on this show and make sure that it's the best quality content we can come up with. Sorry for all the tech issues today, but like John Hancock once said, I will be better. I have to be better. So I'm going to go ahead and call this a day because the camera just went out again. So for everyone watching, I really do appreciate you guys. You are 100% amazing people, and I appreciate you being a part of the ride again. Stay tuned to all of our social medias for the announcements about the upcoming podcast and when they'll be released, or you could just subscribe to this channel right now and you'll see all of that coming at you very, very soon. But until next time, ladies, gentlemen, well, let's be honest, there's no ladies watching this. I'll see you at the matches.